application brought by the mining affected communities united in action over the humanitarian crisis in Stilfontein mine has been dismissed. The organization wanted the court to force the state to provide humanitarian aid, including food, water and medication within 2 hours of the court order. They also wanted to be provided with a weekly progress report on the implementation of government's rescue plan, because hundreds of miners are believed to still be underground in the northwest town. Well, to discuss the situation in Stilfontein, we are now joined by Sabelo Mnguni, who is the National Administrator of MACUA. Thank you so much for speaking to us, Sabelo. I mean, obviously, we're going to get your reaction to the court having dismissed your application, but I want to also start with why it was important for your organization to take the matter to the courts. Let's start there.
Good evening, Naledi. Good evening to the viewers at home. Yes, as we stated in our application, that as a movement or in communities, we are relying on, we're dependent on donations. So all the donations that we're able to gather have been, we have run out of resources basically. Hence, we're calling for the state to come in and take over where we left off as organization, as community, and other individual activists.
Yeah, and so talk to me about the costs, right, and what essentially has been taking place in the run-up to you, I suppose, putting forward this application, because what we have heard for weeks, Sabelo, and I think that this is going to be a big talking point moving forward nonetheless, has been that the community of Stilfontein really has been pooling together, getting resources and getting humanitarian aid to some of those alleged illegal miners. And so is that been a strain on the community?
Yes, it has been. It has been. Remember, we live in a country where cost of living is too high. So, and when we are talking about assisting those underground, we are talking about bulk buying food. So the food that we've been sending, we are sending in bulk. So it is expensive. It has been expensive. Even the rope that we are using itself, it's above 10,000 per 100 meters. So yeah, the community has been behind the process. The process was started by the community. The people who are volunteering are community members. Even those who are donating in terms of giving money, giving food where they can, they are all from the community. So at the moment we are at zero budget, or where we can't continue anymore as community. Since we are calling for the state to assist. But then, yeah, as we all know the outcomes of the court application.
Yeah, but I want to hear, essentially, if you'd allow me, just the, I suppose, examples of community members that have said, we simply can't afford this anymore. So do you have examples of particular cases of a family that says we cannot continue giving?
Yes. So Kuma is a community, and Shaft 11 is, one can say, is almost 10 kilometers away. So each and every day, volunteers were assisted by the community members in terms of transport. So we first started losing the donor who was assisting in terms of giving a bakkie to transport the volunteers. Then the bakkie broke down. We tried to hire taxis, but we couldn't afford the price that they were giving us. So we also, in our last day of work, we were using a truck from one of the community members. So in terms of transport, since the week started also, we were, in terms of the food for volunteers, remember, once we are working there, we also need to eat so that we can strengthen. The food that we were donated by the community members, they couldn't donate anymore, amongst other things.
Yeah, okay. So, and then you can talk to me, if you will, about the urgency of your application, because really what you wanted to do was to see food being sent down within 2 hours. Yes.
What we are requesting is to come in. Remember, Section 27 says everyone has a right to life. So, amongst other things, having access to food is part of basic human rights. So our application was centered around the right to life, because when the operation started, Operation Valamkoti, when started, they cut off all the supplies. The communication that we've been receiving underground through the rope system that we've been using, even the police can attest, because they are always there with us to see what we are doing and to monitor. And also they do keep keep notes of the letters that were received. The letters have been clear that people are hungry. The food that we are assisting with is not sufficient to cover everyone. Many of the organizations, we've been running a birthday party a donation online. All the funds that we were able to gather from the public has run out. The rope that we are using is run out. Without all those resources, the operation, especially that one, the one that is created by the community, can't continue because of resources. Hence, we were calling for the state to also assist, to chip in. If I can also to bring back maybe what the Minister of Police said in his last briefing. He said there are 3 methods, which is the community-led process, which is the rope. There's a shaft 10, as P is mentioning. There's also a community, a mine rescue team that will come in. So all these processes were supposed to continue to work simultaneously. So the first option that was mentioned by the minister himself and the operation that's run by the community has run out of resources. That was our agency basis, that process needs to continue while we are waiting for the professional mine rescue to come in.
Okay.
So we can't leave people dying in the ground.
And that's where I wanted to get to. Now that the court has dismissed your urgent application, your concerns about the worst case scenario that could play out in Stilfontein?
The worst case scenario is that by the time we resume community rescue operations, obviously we'll go back and gather resources to where we can try to bring more money to purchase the required resources in terms of the rope, the food, and the water that needs to go up. We anticipate that by the time we might find 2 or 3 people who have lost their life, because the people that we extracted this particular week, on the 18th and the 19th respectively, they were very weak. You could tell that if we prolonged in terms of 3 days, 4 days, they might have lost their life. So the worst case scenario is that we'll continue as community. There's a high possibility that we'll extract bodies as we did in 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Based on that, people are dying because of hunger.
Yeah, I wanna bring it to this because over the past few days we have seen a few of those alleged illegal miners coming up to the surface. I mean, at some point we saw miners, others that say that there are so many, there are hundreds more that are still underground, and describing really the scenario of what it looks like in the various shafts. But Sabelo, this is what I want to get to. Operation Vala Mnguni is said to have cost the state millions already for it to continue to operate. So to ask the state to spend more money is perhaps going to be something that becomes a difficult conversation. What do you say to the view that these miners can come to surface and simply refuse to? That's your final thought there.
No, thanks, Tarid. There are 3 things here. There's a macro shaft where miners are voluntarily surfacing. Shaft 10, they are trying by all means to surface. That method that they are using is very dangerous for them. In shaft 11, it's impossible. It's physically impossible for one to emerge on their own. Each time we throw a rope, we retrieve a person. Each time we throw a rope, we retrieve a person. So the narrative that miners, they don't want to surface, they are kept kidnapped underground. From where we are working at shaft 11 specifically, we haven't seen. We can't say those allegations or that statement is correct. For us, it's incorrect because the letters, or each and every letter that comes out, they request us to accelerate the process for them to extract them. We want to also receive a letter that says, can we also use shaft 10 to throw in a rope so that we pull up in shaft 11 and shaft 10. That was from underground. Okay. So they can't be proposing that we use different method if they don't want to surface.
All right. Well, we do appreciate your time. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Sabelo Mnguni there of MACUA, giving us the reaction to the court having dismissed the urgent application for the state to provide humanitarian aid to alleged illegal miners underground in Stilfontein.